Welcome to this dissertation case study analysis. I'm Candace Gilson. The selected dissertation is titled Self-Leadership to Servant Leadership, a Meta-Theoretical Antecedent to Positive Social Change, by Alan L. Carn from Walden University for his Doctor of Philosophy Management. It was published in January of 2019 and is available in ProQuest. This study addresses gaps between the paradigms in leadership development programs in North America and the Philippines, identified within the 342 articles from the sample frame of 1,356. Carn identifies a need for a holistic framework in leadership development that will address ethics, morality, and spirituality. Carn's dissertation study seeks to establish a link between the theoretical paradigms of servant leadership and self-leadership using the lens of emotional intelligence to generate a holistic framework. This study offered insight into the functionality and historic foundation that supports servant leadership, with numerous well-published significant sources, including Robert Greenleaf, who is the founder of the modern servant leadership movement, and Daniel Goleman, who brought us his theory of emotional intelligence. A vast majority of identified leadership development programs are incompatible for aspiring leaders striving to provide sustainable leadership. The existing framework for the examined leadership development programs leaves middle and frontline management without the skill sets necessary to nurture growth in their staff. Attempts to shift to a leadership model that supports positive social change is often met with negative attitudes rooted in past experiences. According to Goleman, the emotional brain responds to an event more quickly than the thinking brain, which underscores the importance of consistent leadership so that agencies can reframe their views and accept a positive new model. The literature review chapter is extensive and likely close to exhaustive, as this study looked at 1,356 articles related to the hypothesis. Although refining the term boundaries may assist in future research, gleaning a more specific extracted data set, the literature review section offered support of Carn's hypothesis and great insight into the practices of a bureaucratic model. Carn utilized a meta-theoretical approach for this qualitative study. He applied a purposeful sampling application citing imposed frugality and inclusive search strategies. The sampling frame consisted of 1,356 articles that included the systematic keywords, which resulted in a sample population of 342 articles. In his section on limitations within the study, Carn identifies his limited experience as a researcher, the use of secondary data, and potential bias in himself as the researcher. Carn contributed to the ongoing conversation and supported his theory, answering many associated questions, as answering the original hypothesis will require further research. Carn suggests areas for future study, including research to address the inconsistency in defining what morality is and whether morality is constant, amendable, or elastic, as well as exploring the dimensions of a holistic manager, including the measurable aspects of ethical behaviors and addressing spirituality in the workplace. This study impressed me in its presentation of the benefits of servant leadership and self-leadership. The author demonstrated through his research of secondary data the gap that all too often exists between a leadership track and the rest of the agency. Self-leadership, which is defined by Charles Mans as having a developed sense of who you are, what you can do, where you are going, coupled with the ability to influence your communication, emotions, and behaviors on the way to getting there. Connecting self-leadership and servant leadership has practical application in the public administration arena, as it has the potential to bridge the identified gaps through service to others and focus on knowing those who we serve. There are numerous biblical verses, as well as ancient proverbs and even Aesop's fables, that support knowing your people and empowering them as you serve. These are not new premises. They are simply not congruent within a society that often celebrates magnifying self-serving behaviors without a focus on the impact to others or sustainability for the future, even for themselves. As Proverbs 27:24 states, "For riches do not endure forever, and a crown is not secure for all generations." Themes from our class readings were present in this dissertation. In Dolan and Rosenblum's focus on the importance of representative bureaucracy addressing representation and the need to know the people we serve, which supports Carn's theory of the benefits of servant leadership in public service. More notably, in Bloom's taxonomy, and how all living creatures equate their prior experience to the present unless they are given a frame of reference and a guide to identify the difference. Bloom's taxonomy explains the skepticism of people during a leadership change in his first two levels, knowledge and comprehension. For example, all the bananas in a bowl may seem to be the same until you guide people to notice the differing shapes, allowing them to identify the plantain. The past informs the present and the future. This provides an opportunity for leaders to create framework that serves the people. Through servant leadership and self-leadership, the pillars of public administration can be upheld without specialized focus as these leadership models intersect in their missions for efficiency, effectiveness, economy, representation, accountability, legitimacy, responsibility, and ethical practices. These are my references for this presentation. Thank you for viewing this presentation. Have a blessed day.